Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are talking about Kanata no Astra, aka Astra Lost in Space, episode 5. And before we do, I do have a couple quick things I wanted to let you know about. The first being that if you want to see your name shouted out in the next Kanata no Astra video, then be sure to share the video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will shout you out at the beginning of next week's video. Also, I could not cover the amount of shows that I have been able to cover this season if it wasn't for all the help I've been getting over on Patreon. So big ups to everybody over there. It is super appreciated. If you too want to join us, be sure to check out the link in the description. Go ahead and join us, check out the exclusive Discord, all that fun stuff. I want to go ahead and jump into this week because, oh my goodness, I got some things to say. So the opening scene absolutely confirmed a theory that I had from last week. You guys may have remembered that, or any of you who saw last week anyway, may have remembered that Yoona'S mom was pretty cold to our girl for seemingly no reason, and I had sort of assumed, okay, well, the reason she might be being so cold could be that maybe Yoona'S mom is in some way famous, and she's worried that Yoona, I keep saying Yoona, I meant Yoonhwa, maybe Yoonhwa might steal her spotlight. And after finding out that Yoonhwa is a singer, I thought maybe she could be like an actress or an idol of some kind, and it turns out that, yeah, her mom is in fact a singer back on Earth, to the point where everyone on the Astra was shocked to find out who her mom was. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but it was a big reveal, and we kind of follow that up eventually by meeting everybody's parents. When I say that we meet their parents, I don't mean like the parents find a way to communicate with the kids. No, that would be something else. No, I was gonna say unfortunately, but really it's actually fortunately, because the scene is pretty stellar. We get a solid amount of time back on Earth with everybody's parents kind of freaking out over what happened to their kids. We find out that it's been 40 days, which you can figure out by watching the show. Like, the show does tell you how many days have gone by. You just kind of have to add them up yourself. I was sort of confused on how many days it has been, so I was kind of happy to have like a set number of days. So it has been 40 days since the Astra Crew has gone missing. And in that amount of time, I don't necessarily know how long it takes for a missing person to be to go from missing person to dead, but the parents say at this point that it's been 40 plus days. So the parents of all the kids, except for Aries' mom, Mrs. Spring is not ready to give up, but all the other parents are ready to give up. They're just done. And this scene in particular is really well handled. They really do a good job of making you feel for Mrs. Spring, or Miss Spring. I don't know if she's married or not. I think that it's MRS, so I think she was married. But yeah, they do a really good job of making you feel for Mrs. Spring, and that atmosphere in that scene is super tense. It's funny because in that scene, it's so insanely tense, but Aries' mom actually reminds me of Joyce from Stranger Things, in the sense that you know that this is a parent who is willing to do whatever it takes to get their kid back, but the world around them keeps telling them that they're crazy and that they're imagining things and they're jumping to conclusions because they just want their kid to be okay. That's literally the scene that we get with the parents. And at first I was like, okay, everything's fine. Like, I get where they're coming from. It's a little suspect, but I get where they're coming from. Until the line, "It's as if my body is being torn apart." And it's okay, because at first I was like, okay, that's a genuine line. But the way it was delivered was sort of monotone. So I was like, okay, maybe there's something going on. Something might be going on. And then we meet Luca's dad, I believe. Yes, Luca's dad, who is a politician. Now, at this point, we have established that Olger's dad is the vice principal of their school. Luca's dad is a politician. Quintarian Funicia's, as well as Zach's parents, all both work together. There's apparently some sort of like scientists of some kind that are actually trying to work on a way to save memories into like files that you can then replay. So it's kind of interesting. We see Kanata's dad is also some kind of big shot. Basically everybody there is some sort of big shot, with the exception of like one or two kids. I believe the only people who aren't like big shots were Shars's mom and Ares' mom. I think I could be mistaking that, but basically most of the parents are big shots, which is interesting. This is interesting because we do see Luca's dad, who is not at the meeting. I guess he just didn't care enough to go talk to the other missing parents of his missing son, and he didn't bother showing up to their meeting because he had to go he had to go be a politician. He had to something about DNA. I can't remember what it was. It was something. It had something to do with DNA, and like he is I can't remember what it was, but it has something to do with DNA, not like splicing, but like taking DNA. And he was opposed to something, and he got backlash for it, so he ended up having to go in and do it anyway. So there's some kind of political intrigue going on. I'll have to rewatch the episode to remind myself. I'm recording this like right after seeing it. But what's interesting is that when somebody asks him what his thoughts are on his missing son, Luca is the kid with the short hair, the artist kid, if you don't remember. What he says is, it's as if my body is being torn apart. The exact same thing that Olga's dad said to Ares' mom. There is foul play here, and the parents definitely know. I doubt all of them know. It's definitely clear that Ares' mom has no clue. Mrs. Spring has no idea. I don't think Shar's parents would know. I really don't think Kanata's dad would know either, so I do think this is some sort of political move. Maybe like some sort of like ransom that only a certain number of the parents know, and they're trying to figure it out. I'm not super sure. I do know there's some kind of foul play at this point. Also, I gotta talk about that ending scene. That was something. It's interesting because I had assumed like, oh, cool, Olga's getting some shine. That's sort of rare. We haven't really seen him do much. He does come across as the most suspect of the group. He clearly is the most shady, but it seems like he's got sort of a bromance going on with Luca, and they established that Luca has a pretty easy time getting along with just about everybody. And that bromance was nice while it lasted, because the next time these two see each other, Olga's holding a gun to Luca's head, and that is where they ended the episode. So that was pretty friggin' shocking. I gotta say, they absolutely nailed that scene, because all of them are talking about how, this planet's not as bad. And even with all the other planets, like Shumor, which they had to say goodbye to the groupies in the beginning of the episode, or the gruppies, and that scene kind of broke my heart, especially Kanata screaming, like, we'll miss you. But anyway, sorry. It's interesting how they frame, like, all of the other planets that they've been to, the adventures that they've had so far. It's all been sort of fun and blah, blah, blah. And then Luca says, like, you know what? I'm starting to doubt that there even is a traitor at this point. Like, everybody's been so friendly to each other. Like, I doubt there is anything going on. And as he says that, I was like, that's a big death flag. And then Olga rocks up with the pistol that we do see from the previous episode. So yeah, the pistol immediately comes into play. And that's where they end the episode. My heart was racing in that moment. I was like, oh my God, are they going to kill my boy Luca? Is Olga going to kill Luca? And the thing too is, I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's Olga, because like Kanata says, like, wait, no, Olga was the one. And I was like, if it's Olga, they did do a good job misdirecting, because there was a couple moments where I thought maybe it was Zach, maybe it was Yoona'S, maybe it was Shars. I wasn't super sure who the traitor amongst the group would be. If it's Olga, it's well handled, but it's a little too obvious and a little too easy. Part of me doesn't want to think that it's Olga. I'm gonna wait to see next week, but I think that's almost too easy. It seems like they're purposely trying to throw you off the scent, and yeah, I also thought maybe Ares could be the traitor, but knowing that her mom, like, I thought that prior to this episode. Seeing her mom freak out does kind of tell me that Ares can't be the traitor. I just thought Ares being the traitor would be like a really crazy twist. As for negatives, though, I don't really have one. I do think Kanata was almost so dumb that it was out of character when Ares asked him, like, do you have a girlfriend back home? And he's like, all the girls are my friends. Ha ha ha. And I was like, that's dumb. I don't. Kanata's always been sort of thick-headed, but that was colossally stupid. Like, I don't know if maybe I didn't agree really with that. Yeah, especially since, like, they kind of hinted, like, the shipping, blah, blah, blah. Like even the girls at this point were talking about how the ship's going to sail between Ares and Kanata. And this is one of my ships of the season, so I really did like these two. So maybe it's just a personal thing that I'm like, don't tease my ship and then throw it away. Like, if Kanata had more than 2 brain cells in that scene, he would have known what was going on. And he probably would have said yes, because I have a darn good feeling he likes Ares too. And we actually do get confirmation that Ares does like Kanata, which I appreciate. And also that Quiteri likes Zack, which I also approve. That's my second favorite ship. And now I want to see Sharks get together with Yoona'S. I would like that. I guess the only other complaint I have is not really a complaint, just kind of like a, all right, anime, calm down. And that's the fan service. I probably used the fan service for the thumbnail because, let's be real, it's YouTube. Of course I did. The fan service in the episode, it's... Okay, listen, it's quality. It's top quality. They really, like Lurch killed it with the fan service in this episode. It was really well done. However, the whole episode derails to get us to this point where the girls are like, oh, that you're looking kind of racy in that. Oh, man, oh, shit. Like, oh, you too. Oh, even Yoona'S look. I'm like, all right. Okay, anime, calm down. I get what you're doing. You could have just had a beach episode. You didn't have to bring that much attention to it. It's okay. You can chill. On that note, everybody, I think I'm going to give this episode... I'm gonna give this episode a solid B+. Like I said, there's a lot to like, a lot of intrigue. It is a little slow. There are some kind of dumb moments, but overall, I really dug this week's episode. I thought it was really solid. So on that note, I'm gonna wrap up today's video here, but before we go, as always, I gotta give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Dominic, Urza, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Omner Garamond, Opinionated Slime, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Tristan, and Veridon. But that's gonna be a video, everybody, so if you enjoyed today's video, then you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't gonna tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated, and if you're feeling stressed out today, you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.